They're hinting that he had plans for a new political career. This week we found out what he meant. I think some of us have already guessed when he announced on Twitter that he plans to stand as Mayor of London when Boris Johnson's term of office comes to an end. Let's just have a look at his tweet. There it is. And that's him with his first backer. It's his son, though he looks a little young to vote. Though maybe Alex Salmond may change the rules for that too. George Galloway, welcome to the programme. Now, look, you've just been decisively rejected by the people of Bradford West. So what makes you think that the people of London will be any keener on you?
Well, we'll see. It's been a very good start. 20,000 people have signed up for the campaign in 3 days. The official launch, will be next month. And I expect it to be standing room only overflow in the street because, as The Spectator pointed out, not a normal friend of mine, this week, I could be the Nicola Sturgeon of the London mayoral race. I think
it was Damien McBride who wrote that.
Damien McBride, a man who knows about politics and who knows about campaigning, can see a possibility that with a bland field from the mainstream parties, someone a bit more interesting might just take it by storm.
No, I can see that character counts in a mayoral election, which is about individuals. But you would have to win, if you have any chance of winning at all, places like Bethnal Green and Bow, which was the constituency that rejected you in 2010.
That's not true, in fact. You need to kick your researcher. I won Bethnal Green and Bow in 2005 and promised to stand only once there and left. In 2010.
So you didn't run again?
No, according to my pre-election pledge.
Consider the researcher,
a politician keeping his promises.
Consider the researcher, which is myself, well and truly chastised about this. Let me put this, though, to you. You've supported in the past what is now the widely regarded as disgraced former mayor of Tower Hamlets, Luther Rahman. Isn't that going to haunt you during the campaign?
Well, Ken Livingstone and I both think that the campaign against Lutfer Rahman was entirely unjust, and that the idea that the borough, which has actually done better than any other in terms of schools, which has kept education maintenance allowance, which has resisted academies, resisted free schools, and all the many achievements of that administration, should have been judged by the electorate, not by a Queen's Council.
But he was found guilty of voting fraud, bribery, false statements, of, to quote the judge, driving a coach and horses through electoral law. Why would you still support someone like that?
He wasn't, in fact, a judge. And that's one of the issues.
He was acting, sitting as a judge.
Sitting as a judge, but not a judge. And I cling to the view that the legal process, when it's finished, will extinguish many of the Queen's Council's remarks. For example, the most glaring one being that clerics, religious people, cannot call for a vote for someone, which would invalidate most elections in the north of Ireland, as you know. But it would appear to be all right for pastors to pronounce for candidates.
The judgment came from a Deputy High Court judge about breaches of electoral law. It is not for voters to determine breaches of electoral law. It is for the law to determine that.
Sure, and the law, it's under review now, as you know, so maybe we better await the outcome.
So you're sticking with the former mayor of Tower Hamlets?
I think that he was very unjustly treated. In that, I have the company of one of London's two mayors, Ken Livingstone, who feels exactly the same.
You branded Bradford as, quote, an Israel-free zone. Would it be your aim to make London an Israel-free zone?
No, but it would certainly be my aim to encourage the huge swell of pro-Palestinian support in London. I think Palestine has more supporters in London than anywhere else in the country. But the mayor is not the Pope, and the mayor is not the president, and he's not the Prime Minister or the Foreign Secretary. So
you weren't any of these things in Bradford either?
No, but
you called for it.
I called for it. It's not exactly branding, and of course it's unimplementable. It's a moral position, and my moral position on Palestine is well known to you and people watching this.
You mean like Mayor Livingstone making London a nuclear-free zone, as if that would stop any Soviet attack?
I suppose so, or David Blunkett, who did the same.
Could I put this to you? The city of your birth is Dundee. The city where you were a Labour MP is Glasgow. They are both now nationalist strongholds, and you oppose that kind of nationalism. Shouldn't you have bigger fights to fight in either of these two cities than in London?
No, I've lived in London for 35 years. My children were born here, go to school here, and I was a member of Parliament in London. So I think I have every right to put my hat in the ring here, and all the signs are that it's, if I dare this metaphor, put the cat amongst the pigeons. I think the Labour hopefuls are all extremely anxious about it because, as the Spectator pointed out, I have an appeal to traditional Labour people, of whom there are many millions in London.
Will you run regardless of who the Labour candidate is?
Probably with one exception. If Diane Abbott was the Labour nominee, I probably would withdraw in her favour, but I'll certainly fight all the others that are in the race.
All right. And you would back Diane Abbott if she was?
Yes, she's a long-time
candidate.
comrade of mine, and but I think Labour will not choose her.
What do you MP for Bethnal, MP for Bradford West. You had previously been MP for Glasgow Hillhead, famous university constituency. What do you say to those that would claim, look, this is more to do with keeping the lucrative Galloway brand in the public eye than ever being a mayor of London?
Well, you very well know that most of my income doesn't come from any salary that's given to me by the state.
No,
and that's been
no.
true.
What I mean is that it keeps your brand and it keeps you in the public eye, and that's worth money.
Mr. Churchill was from London, and he was the MP in Dundee. If it's good enough for him that way, it's good enough for me. I think this is one island. People are entitled to run for office throughout. And I have quite a good track record on the whole in elections. I've been elected to Parliament 6 times, twice entirely against the odds.
All right. You once said in an interview, I don't think it was with me, that one day, quote, I'll be a national treasure. How's that journey going?
20 years short of that, I would have thought. Mr. Benn became a national treasure.
Only after he didn't matter.
After he was no longer a threat to the metropolitan elite that is running London now. And my pitch is that we need someone to speak for the great majority of London, not just those that are dripping in gold.
George Galloway, thanks for being on The Sunday Politics.
Thank you.
You are watching The Sunday Politics. Coming up here in 20 minutes, I'll be discussing the latest on the